All right, that is some good pump up music to get us started for day two. Hello, everybody, and welcome officially to day two of Pivot Forward. I'm Mykie Stiller, the CEO and co-founder of Vossoughi Coaching Co. So happy to have all of you here with us. Now, if you were here for day one, fantastic. Arash laid an incredible foundation to the entire week yesterday. If you're just joining us for the first time for day two, no worries, you're in the right place at the right time, and you can go back and catch up on day one later. The replay is available for you. And before we get started, we are going to get into a little bit of yesterday to catch you up. I just want to say a nice, big, warm welcome. What I want to encourage everybody to do right now is set aside all distractions. Arash is going to be on with you for somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes, probably closer to 90 minutes today, because I know what he's got planned as far as the lesson goes, and it is going to be so good. The lesson today can completely transform your life, and you're going to have homework at the very end so you can implement everything that Arash is teaching right away to create results. So set aside all distractions. If you're not watching this on your phone, put your phone on airplane mode, like Arash said yesterday, or turn it upside down, put it on silent, close out all your other browsers, and really take the time to invest this 90 minutes in yourself and in the goals that you want to achieve. I also want to encourage you to get out a pen and a piece of paper. I have a feeling you're going to want to take some notes. We will also take notes for you and send a recap with the replay email after it is sent out today. So yes, there will be a replay available for the entire week. It'll go out after we end today. One email will come from Zoom, one will come from Vossoughi Coaching Co. with a few notes, and you will have access to those replays until next Friday. So you've got almost 10 days to go through the replays as many times as you'd like. Now, that's enough housekeeping items. Without further ado, I want to bring on the man of the hour, Mr. Arash Vossoughi, with me. Arash, how are you doing?
I'm great, Mykie. How are you? Great to be back.
I'm great. I'm still fired up from day one. That was such a good lesson on thinking, on programs. What I want to do is give everybody just a little bit of a catch up, because there's going to be a lot of people that join us today who may have missed day one, and I don't want them to feel like they're behind. So you covered philosophy, the importance of thinking. Why don't we start there? What is the importance of thinking?
Well, thinking is everything. I think Earl Nightingale really locked it in with we become what we think about most of the time. If you look at everyone's results, if I look at my results, all it is a reflection of my thinking. I don't get into action until I think in a certain way. So we want to prioritize it. I was telling you before we started, I love this quote by Steve Jobs. He says, you have to work hard to clean up your thinking, then you will move mountains. And there's nothing more accurate than that. Mm-hmm. I watch people who really win, and they start thinking in a certain way is the prequel to them winning. Then I'll watch people who continue to not do anything. They want more, but they tell themselves, I'm not ready. They hesitate. The minute we don't make a decision, nothing is going to change. And it is such a difference. The programming takes over and says, let me think about it. You know what I always tell people? You've already lost. The minute you say, let me think about it, what you're saying is, let me default to my old program. Let me keep doing what is comfortable, and let me keep playing in a small box. And that's what 97% of the population are doing. They are not willing to get brutally honest with themselves. They are not willing to take themselves on. And that's why 3% of the population is earning 97% of the income. It is so ridiculous. Success is so simple if you follow the rules. Like if I went on my roof and I jumped off, I'd fall. Like I know that. So I don't go on my roof and jump off. If you want to become great at any sport, you have to do the repetition of following the rules to be great at it. Well, success is the same thing. We have to be willing to follow the rules. What are the rules? We have to know what we want. We have to think, feel, and act like that person. And we have to make significant decisions. And they're not huge decisions. They're decisions to bet on yourself. Because every day our energy is either looking forward or going backwards. Looking forward or going backwards. And if we're constantly making decisions from the program, we're going backwards. That's why I said yesterday, I'm going to say it all week until I get this burned in everybody's mind, that you have to be willing to fail at your future self than succeed at your present self. Your present selves are your current habits. Your future self is who you're determined to become.
Arash, I had a couple more questions that I was planning on asking you, but I feel like you answered most of them just now in that little excerpt, and you teed us up perfectly to start the lesson today. So I'm going to go ahead and let you get started. But what I want everybody to do while you're pulling up your slides is let us know in the chat, are you ready to go all in this week? Are you going to do the homework all in? Are you going to go all in with your thinking? Are you going to go all in with the ideas that Arash is giving you? And if you are ready to go all in, go ahead and put it in the chat. And Arash, go ahead and get started.
All right, awesome. All right, today we're going to go over step 2 of our recipe, and it's going to be standard and goals. Now, before I get started, success can be created in so many different ways, but the one common, oops, it looks like my screen sharing paused. Is that correct on your end?
We're still on the welcome slide.
Yeah, that's what I'm on, but on my slide, let me see. Do you see the next slide?
No.
Nope. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I am going to share this with you while I'm doing the slides. But success comes in all different ways. And what we have to understand is really think about this. You can work harder. You can work smarter. You can make it easy. You can make it the hardest way possible. It's going to be dependent on you. And when we look at it, if you study an elite performer, the one commonality is the standard is the standard regardless. Regardless, the standard is going to really put everything into shape. So I want you to really think about this. And when you look at really looking at this the right way, we have to understand the importance of standard. But let's start here. We want to understand the best definition I've ever been taught of greatness. Greatness is defined as selfless exceptionalism. The person who is great is focused on giving, and they know they can do better. So they're constantly pushing themselves to get better. Like you, me, everybody on this call can do literally 25 times better than we're doing right now. There's no limit to our potential, but there's some rules we have to follow. Number one, we have to know, what do I want to achieve? And we have to define this very clearly. Number two, how badly do you want to reach your goal? Like I said yesterday, your goal, it has to be so deeply ingrained in you that you have enough reasons of why you want to get out of your comfort zone, why you're going to spend the time to invest in building the standards and disciplines, why you're going to change your programming. If your why isn't big enough, you're going to default to your old programming as soon as you hit adversity, because adversity is going to come if you're going after something worthy of you. Number three, this is an important one. Do you have the mental toughness to handle the adversity along the way? Yesterday, I told you your mindset has to be stronger than your emotions. What we're talking about is you have to have a significant self-image, which we're going to get into tomorrow, because adversity is going to come. And if you're going to create a really big quantum leap, you will have failure after failure, success after success. It's all going to be intertwined together. But the person who has the mental toughness, when they see a setback, they keep pivoting forward. And the person who doesn't have that as part of their identity, they're accepting lesser goals, they're shrinking all the way, and then they give in. They give into the programming. And then you look at it. I said yesterday, change is linguistic first. Do your words and action reflect the heart that inspire peak performance in others? Are you leaving everybody better off than you found them? Is your example really what you're studying for yourself? So you want to look at this. And are you making those around you better? When you give, you live. When you take, you're in pain and fear. I was working with a client yesterday. She's a wonderful client of mine. And she says, I'm having a hard time letting go. I said, I understand it because I used to. But letting go is where the magic happens. Letting go is where you believe in yourself. Letting go is where you have complete trust. And when you let go, something could happen. You didn't make a sale that you wanted, but you say, listen, I did my very best. I'm going to let it go. You're going to attract something 10 times better. It works all the time. But when you're taking, you're in pain and fear. We've got to understand that when we're trying to get, when we're not neutral, when we are really coming from that take mentality, we've got to go find out what that pain and fear is. Because if we don't find out, we're going to suppress it and it's going to infect our central nervous system. Now, to me, the point of our life is to live the way we really want to live. To me, this is all about successful living. It's not about how much money you have in the bank account. I hope you have an extraordinary amount because you're going to be able to experience life and you're going to make such an impact. But to me, it's all about the person you become. When you make your personal growth sacred, when you fall in love with getting better, there's no limit to where you can take yourself. I told you this yesterday. You're one decision away from making this the greatest, most pivotal week that creates the biggest change in your life for the next 30, 40 years. Now, I did this and I made a definite decision, and it's been 17 years for me. And I've never stopped, and you will never stop, because once you have access to this information, you're not going to want to stop implementing it. You are right now one heartbeat away from changing your life. I want you to really think about this. You went through lesson 1 yesterday. Now, I want you to put in the chat, have I made a definite decision that all my chips are in, I'm all in, and I'm willing to follow the direction to the letter, that I am willing to fail in order to win big? Because that's one of the keys of success. You have to be willing to fail in order to win. And you may have little setbacks along the way, then big win. But I want you to ask yourself and put it in the chat, like really own it. I have made that irrevocable committed decision that this week is going to change my life. Now, big things are coming for you. Everything that has happened in your life, in my life, in every single person's life on this call has been absolutely essential to prepare you for what's about to happen. And I'm going to tell you this, I don't need you to believe it. I need you to believe that I believe you're in the process of a quantum leap. You're not on this training this week by accident. All the failures, all the successes, all the times you accepted lesser goals, accepted a lesser image of who you are, has prepared you for right now. It took one idea to change my life. What was that idea for me? It was mentorship. Nothing changed until I got the right direction. Then it was a lot of other ideas. It was standard, it was attitude, it was discipline. But the first thing that changed my life was having a mentor who believed in me more than I believed in myself. But I will tell you right now, and I want you to accept this, that you are going to see dramatic changes if you do the work. Now, over the next 6 months, what you do is key, because I'm going to give you everything to really implement. But if you will follow the direction and you go all in every day is day 1, you recommit every day, you're going to see a massive shift. Now, let's look at this. Every day in our life, every single one of us, the biggest roadblock, the biggest obstacle is present results. We've all been conditioned, at least I'll say just about everybody, to live outside in. I'll believe it when I see it. The key that keeps people stuck is they make decisions from their present results. They set goals from what they did the year before, present results. Understand the biggest obstacle is the present results. And I have a rule for myself every day that I'll share with you. Yesterday, we talked about philosophy. This is part of my philosophy that I start my day. As soon as I wake up, I say, I am going to be the very best I can be today. Today's going to be the very best day of my life. Number one. Number two, I am not going to let present results control me. Number three, do I have a goal that inspires me? I always ask that question because am I all in with my daily goal? And number four, I'm going to listen to myself to understand, because the most important conversations we have are with ourselves. If we're not listening to ourselves, we're not going to know whether we're sending a double binding message or not. We're not going to know if we're making decisions based on our future self. So it just sets me with the intention of where I'm going. I want to always be pivoting forward. I always want to look forward. So we want to remind ourselves the present results are our obstacle, and not make decisions from the present results. Make it from your future self. Make it from your goal. When you make every decision based on your future self you want to build, now you're in the process of really creating big jumps. Now, I want you to take a look at these next few slides. Every line is a frequency. And I want you to take an honest look at your present results right now. By law, you can only attract what you're in harmony with. Right now, and I want you to look at it from a neutral place. Right now, you're in harmony with what you're currently getting based on the past. So if this is what you want, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to create a massive shift, now we've got to get on a different frequency. Now, let's go again. Everything you want is on its own frequency. That means your ideal life, the best version of yourself, is on a different frequency. Our job is to become one with it. When we become one with it, we're in the spirit of it. When we become one with it, we've accepted it. We only see ourselves there. We see ourselves and we discipline our five senses to see what we would see on that frequency. What would we experience had we achieved that goal? And once you do that, you're going to become one with it. Now, take a look at this. It is imperative. I told Mykie, the person who hesitates, who doesn't take action, is the one who is still making decisions from their programming. And it's really not a decision, it's just a reaction. I want everyone to make a decision right now. I want you to put your want in your mind right now. Forget about the how. I just want you to think about what it is you want more than anything else. And I want you to make a decision that you're going to become one with it. When you're one with it, you're fused with it. Every thought pattern is going to come from when you make a decision. When you make a decision, your mind automatically goes to that frequency with your imagination. But we can't go to that frequency if we don't make a decision. If we are saying, I'm going to do this when this happens, nope, you're going to stay down here. We've got to make a firm, irrevocable decision that this is what I'm doing no matter what. I don't care how it's going to happen. All I know is that every action impacts the next action. Every discipline of every day, me becoming one with it, all I'm doing is fusing deeper and deeper with it. And that's what you're going to see show up in your life. When you get on the frequency of your goal, that's when the magic happens. That's when you're detached from your five senses. You're in emotional control, and you're going to draw, the universe is going to be able to draw to you all the good that you desire for the fulfillment of the achievement of your goal. Let it happen. You don't strain to go become one with it. You just see yourself there. You've got to be relaxed. You let it happen. You made a decision. A decision is not hard. It's this is what I'm doing no matter what. I don't care what I've done in the past. All I'm doing is looking forward. And when you do that, you're going to see the magic unfold. But this is a reminder. You have to want success as badly as you want to breathe. I always tell this story of Socrates. I love this story. A gentleman went to his house and he said, I want to be as great of a philosopher as you. And he said, okay, come out to the back. And he takes him back, and there's a lake back there. And he grabs him by the neck and he says, kneel down. He grabs his head and he's holding it under. And the story goes, the kid is really kicking his legs. He brings him out and he said, what were you thinking? And he says, I was thinking all I wanted to do was breathe. And Socrates says, if you want to be as great of a philosopher as me, you have to want it as badly as you want to breathe. And there's nothing more accurate than that. So I want you to ask yourself, how badly do I want to achieve my goal? And it's got to be a 10 out of 10. A lot of people want to achieve a 10 type goal, but their beliefs stay at a 5. Their decisions stay at a 3. It's impossible. They're on opposite frequencies. You can't attract the good that you desire on focusing on staying where you are. A 10 determines you to become a 10. If you want a 5, you're going to be in harmony with a 5. Now, let's get into standard. And I want you to lock into this idea. Our standard is our DNA to success. I told you yesterday, our vision starts the game. We create a vision of our life. Our vision determines our philosophy. Our philosophy determines our standard. Our standards create abundance. Standards create empowering beliefs. But I love this quote by Dennis Waitley. He said, of all the judgments we make, none are more important than the estimate we place on our standards. We place on ourselves according to our internal standards. Standards are not my standards for you. Standards are inside. How do I really want to live? And when you start understanding standards, you're going to understand once you hold your standard, you draw a line in the sand, you're going to bring all your results up to your personal standard. Do you remember when I was talking about the person who makes a definite decision and the person who lets the program make the decision? That's their standard. That is their standard. Everybody has a standard. And you'll know what your standard is when the present results are in your face and you don't give in. When you're the most worn out during the day, you never change your standard. Standard never drops. If somebody's standard drops, it's not a standard. See, standard is so important. The standard always wins. And I want you to burn this in your mind. What else is standard? Standard is showing the world who we are every day. That's standard. It's showing I am worthy and deserving of the good that I desire. See, think about present results again. And think about if this is you. Most people are not bringing their present results up to the standard of living they want. They bring the standard of living down to their present results. And I want you to ask yourself, is this me? You're never going to win until you raise your standard and hold it there. Even if the results don't show it, over time, you're going to bring the results up to your standard. Now, why am I talking about standard before goals? Because the higher your goals and standards become, the more aware you are going to become of the right strategies that match it. Once you bring your standard up, your relationships are going to raise. Once you hold your standard up, your self-esteem is going to raise. The type of actions you're going to take are going to start showing themselves to you. Standards are essential to creating the life you want. And it is impossible to exceed the standards you have for yourself. I want you to look at your present results. Standard. That's the standard you've been holding either consciously or unconsciously. Now, if you haven't been working on standard, you're holding it unconsciously. Standard is an obsession of my life. Like when my standard changed, my life changed. Your standard sets your baseline. Your standard sets where you're going, the direction you're going. We always go the direction we're facing. And the destination is determined by the direction. That's why I always am talking about pivoting forward, the name of this event. But the results don't change overnight, but your standard does. And then the results have a residual impact by the law of gender, and they're going to keep coming. The standard you hold of yourself is the most important core value. I've shared this story on different forums, but it just came in my mind, so I'll share it to you if you've never heard this before. Everything I practice in my life is based on standard. And if you came on the back of us preparing for this event, I have such a standard in my preparation. But one day I was visiting Mykie. We had a business meeting in Dallas. And we stayed at this hotel. And all the hotels that I wanted to stay at in Frisco, Texas were filled. And I can't remember if it was a Hyatt, a Hilton. Anyway, it was not up to my standard. There were cigar buds everywhere. I told my wife, I said, we got to go to a new hotel. And if you ask Mykie, she'd be able to be the first to tell you how dissatisfied I was. And my wife said, we only have one more night here. Let's just stay here. And I said, I can't. Now, I called my brother and I said, do you know any hotels in Dallas? I don't need to stay in Frisco, but I want to go stay in a hotel that I really feel good in. So he gave me this hotel. I can't even remember the name of the hotel now, but we go in Dallas. And anybody who knows me, I'm an avid sports fan, but I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. And while we're driving there, the driver says, you know, the hotel you're at is Jerry Jones is always there. Jerry Jones is the owner of the Cowboys. Anyhow, my wife and I go check in. We go up and they say, let's go down. We had to get up early. I said, let's go down and have dinner. We had dinner and a drink at the bar. Literally 3 feet away, and I'm not exaggerating, is Jerry Jones sitting there, the owner of the Cowboys. And the story goes, my wife could tell I'm getting anxious. Like I was excited to meet him. And she called me girl fanning, I think is the name she said. She said, you're girl fanning. And she said, I'm going to go over there to his table and see if he'll meet you. So I go meet him and I'm sitting there talking to him and we had a good conversation and then we get done. And I'm sitting there talking to my wife about standard. I said, do you see how important standard is? An hour later, he comes over to our table and he said, I wanted to thank you for being a longtime Dallas Cowboy fan. And I took care of your dinner and drinks. And then he sits there and we're talking to him for 10 minutes. I'm talking to him about where he was, what business advice he would give to a young entrepreneur. This is a gentleman who's worth more than $4 billion. Anyway, we end up leaving. I tell the story to Mykie. I call her. I said, do you see why standard always wins? See, I could have stayed where I was, but it was so out of harmony with my standard. Now, there's so many times in your life that you're going to have choices that you just settle. I want you never to allow mediocrity to be part of your standard. And I'm telling you, we worked on programming yesterday. Never make rationalizing part of your standard. See, this is going to be a core value of yours that's going to absolutely accelerate your results. Ask yourself right now, what is the standard of myself? What is the standard of my decision makings? How honest am I with myself? Have a significant standard to honesty. See, if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to keep suppressing. And success requires us to be brutally honest. How honest are you with yourself? Are you burying your feelings or are you expressing them? I want you to get your feelings out. I do not want them infecting your central nervous system. I do not want you to suppress yourself. Every time you suppress yourself, you are a watcher in your life. And you want to be a player in your life. You want to operate with a high standard. Now, let's take a look at this. We have a standard towards everything in our life. I want you to look at the amount of money in your bank account, in your investments. That's your standard towards money. I want you to look at the attitude of yourself. Do you have a significant identity of yourself? That's your standard. How well are you at selling ideas? Are you accepting ideas or are you keep procrastinating? See, selling an idea is an acceptance of an idea. That's your standard. Now let's look at action. Action is the foundation of success. Nothing happens until you act. And so look at your actions, and I want you to measure the actions you're taking. And if you will measure yourself by the actions you take, you'll be blown away by why you're succeeding or failing. Now let's look at health. Do you have a lot of energy? Are you at your perfect weight, looking good and feeling great? Standard towards health. And then we look at, how do you accept new ideas? Do you accept them right away, or are you constantly doing what I said earlier? I have to think about it. We want to get so good at accepting ideas. One day I was talking to my mentor. We were working together at this time, and he congratulated me on a goal that I achieved. He actually knew I achieved the goal before I did. And I said, I wish I would do it every day. He said, well, why don't you? And I always joked that he was the most aware person I ever met, that nothing could get by him. And I said, I guess I don't know. He said, you just haven't accepted that idea. He said, this isn't rocket science. He says, all you have to do is accept the idea. From that moment, I started accepting ideas, and I became so great at accepting ideas. And I accept ideas so quickly. That was this emotional impact that I got that changed my program. And then look at your disciplines. Do you have great disciplines? Your disciplines are creating your results. So that is your standard towards discipline. I know for me, I had to do a massive overhaul on my standard towards discipline when I first started studying this philosophy 17 years ago. Look at your standards. Standards always win. I'm going to say that over and over again. Now, let's put this in your notes. Where is my standard gap? Look at your current standard and then look at your goal. What is the standard it requires you to operate with? And you want to start working on that standard right away and make it part of your philosophy. I am never accepting anything in my life that is below my new standard. And as you do that, you're going to start attracting exactly what you want. Now, people with great standards have great grit. Grit is sticking. Grit is what creates greatness. It's failing, persisting at one thing for a year or a decade. Like you can look at so many people who are complete legends in their industry, and they're doing the same thing and getting better and better because they have great grit. It's not starting and stopping. You're not going to create a new standard by holding it, then dropping it, holding it, then dropping it, because that's not a standard. So no starting and stopping. They're constantly upgrading their processes. Your processes are what's creating mastery. Whenever I work and mentor our elite clients, I am constantly working on their processes. I'm teaching them a belief installation process first. I'm teaching them the goal achievement process. I'm teaching them how to break a plateau. That's another process. You want to have these processes like a tool belt. Whenever you need them, you go to it, and you're practicing them every day. Remember about processes. Processes create mastery. And if you want to be really good, it's your ability to practice your processes and stick to your goal and be flexible on how you're going to achieve your goal. This is very important. So let's go deeper into standard. Standard is about constantly being in upgrade mode. Are you in upgrade mode right now? I want your expectation that I'm constantly getting 1% better. I'm always in upgrade mode. And that's going to change the game for you. Now, when you put the proper standards in place, you are going to accelerate significantly the goal achieving process. That's why I want to emphasize the importance of standards right before we get into the goal achievement process. Now, take a look at this. This is somebody who has a significant standard of what they do, their ability to do it. They treat work as an opportunity to grow, and it is an absolute game changer. I want you to think about your work right now. Do you think about it as it's an opportunity for me to get better? That work is building me, not that I'm building my business. Work is the work we do builds us more than us building our business. Now, this is an interesting one. If I only give half my best, then I'm training myself to always be half my best. The person with a significant standards knows they're better to take a day off than just to show up at half their best. You're showing the world, this is how I am. This is who I am. So you're better off taking a break than showing half your best. Now that's a standard itself. Now ask yourself this. How do you constantly push yourself to your limits? You'd have to have accountability. That's why mentorship is so important. That's why what you put in your mind and develop a growth mindset is essential. You never do it alone. I don't know anybody who has a significant standard, who achieves goal after goal, who does it by themselves. Now, you have to do it alone, but you can't do it by yourself. I'm telling you, it is a game changer as your philosophy when you know you're not by yourself. Now, never be satisfied. Never allow complacency to creep in. Complacency robs you of the life you were meant to live. Never be satisfied. Always be grateful, but never be satisfied. Constantly remind yourself, I never emanate mediocrity. I never make decisions based on present results. I make decisions based on building to the future self that I'm determined to live. But now we've created a foundation. Now we're going to get into goals. And I don't want just any goal. I want you to have world-class goals. I want you to have goals that are so big in your mind that it demands you to grow, because that's what the goals are. See, a lot of people, as soon as they say, I want this goal, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. We're asking the wrong question. We have to ask the what and the who. What is the most important thing that I can do? What am I currently doing? And who am I right now? Am I operating from understanding and becoming more and more aware that I am infinite? Who do I need to become? Who do I want to surround myself with in mastermind groups? Who can mentor me that has already performed the results that I want to perform? The what and the who is the biggest question you want to ask yourself. Now, I want you to turn your goal into a love story. I said this yesterday with your want. When your goal is a love story, you're so in love with what you're doing. It is always on your mind and you're constantly thinking about, what can I do? There's the what question. Who can I surround myself with? The goal will show itself. And we want the goal not to be, I have to force myself to think of the goal. When you're in love with the goal, that's what an ideal is. An ideal is an idea we're in love with. When you turn your goal into a love story, it's going to be the dominant idea in your mind. Now, when I say world-class goals, I want you to accept this idea that it's just as easy to 10x your goals than it is to 1 and 2x. It's actually more effortless. There was a study by Google X done that they said it is easier to create 10x goals than it is 2x, because 2x goals have no inspiration. 10x goals really get us dreaming, really are coming from inspiration. 2x goals is we're working harder. But 10x is about setting goals that will lead you to an extraordinary life. You know, one day I was talking about 10x, and I have a great client of mine, Joe Kincart. And Joe said to me, is 10x about money? I said, no, it's about how you want to live. And it got clear in his mind about that. And I said, if 10xing your money is your goal, then it's about money. But to me, 10x is about the person you become. That's what I've learned along the way of my journey for 17 years. The most important part of the goal is who we become, who we get to grow into. And I want you to listen to my language, get to grow into. And when you're not making significant decisions towards your future self, you are robbing your potential. You've got to understand that. That's why I said yesterday, you want to bet on yourself because you're going to impact so many people along the way. Our goals are so much bigger than us. The purpose behind them is our mission. We want our mission to be so big. And when we do that, we're going to have the right reasons to build the disciplines, to build the philosophy, to build the standards, to take significant action. Now, let's look at this. There's a great book called The 80-20 Principle by Robert Koch. And he says, the 80-20 principle says, if we doubled our time on the top 20% of our activities, we could work a 2-day work week and achieve 60% more. I want you to look at your results right now again. 80% of your results are coming from 20% of your focus and effort. Now imagine we focused on what the next 20% is, and we let go of the 80% that's already part of our identity. How do we let go of them? We have other people do them in our organization. And if you're a solopreneur, you outsource it. So we want to start understanding this. When we make our goals so big that you believe it's impossible, but you really love the idea, you're in love with the goal, you make the goal a love story. Now your mind starts thinking over time, how can I make the impossible possible? And you start making it into the ridiculous. So in the beginning, a goal, if it's a worthy goal, you don't know how in the world you're going to do it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you know the how, you're going sideways. When you know the why, now you're going after something worthy of you. And after you make the goal from impossible to possible, you understand 2xing my goal, there's so many paths for me to get there from my current results. So you're thinking from your same program, just I'm going to work harder. I'm just going to keep grinding away. That's not the idea. I want you to create effortless success. Goal achieving is an art. Goal achievement happens by exact design. It happens by exact law. Goal setting is not the idea. Goal setting is an intellectual exercise. There is no goal achievement without significant commitment with your chips all in. And then we look at 10xing your goal. There's only a limited number of strategies that will work. And what happens is you're going to start filtering out the old strategies that don't work, that are congruent with your old self. See, when you make the goal impossible, you stop working from your current paradigm. You stop working from your present knowledge and assumptions. It demands you to accept bigger ideas. It demands you to build a bigger image of yourself. It demands you to discipline your thinking and accept and reject ideas from your future self. And what happens when you start doing that, you're going to start getting ideas channeling in, because we have thought energy that comes in within a few seconds. And you're going to start opening up to new ideas and paths that get you to your big goal. Now, look at this. I'm talking to you right now, and I want you to ask yourself this question. If I want to grow my profits by 10 times, how would I do it? As soon as you ask this question, the answer to this questions are going to eliminate a lot of paths that allows you to focus on a few strategies. You're going to start getting ideas from your old program. You're going to say, nope, that's only going to 1x, 2x, maybe 3x my goal. But I'm committed to what I wrote down, that I'm going to turn my annual income into my monthly income. And then you're going to reject. Those are the old program. Then a new idea comes in. And then you're going to accept that idea. Then another idea. Somebody will come in your environment and will give you ideas. You will start masterminding with higher aware people. You're going to hire the right mentors that are going to show you the direction. And that's how you're going to 10x your life. Now, listen, not everybody wants to 10x their life. To 10x requires you to let go of 80% of your comfort zone, 80% of your old identity. And if you don't want to do it, you could live 1xing and 2xing. But I will tell you, you're going to work a lot more hours, you're going to have a lot more strain, and you're not going to create as much joy and fulfillment and impact. Now, the goal always determines the process. There's that word again, the process. The only way to make the future better is to be so much better in the present, your ability to do it. I'm forever talking about the ability to do it. That's the law, one of the keys of the law of compensation. The law of compensation states we get paid in direct proportion to the service we render, the need for it in the marketplace. Our ability to do it is the one I want to focus on right now. See, I am always working on upgrading my ability to do it. That's why repetition is so important. That's why deliberate practice is so important. See, let's go into this. Our ability to do it is deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is I'm focusing on getting better than I was the day before at my craft, at what I do for work. And deliberate practice is what creates massive quantum leaps. Now, I want you to decipher this. Deliberate practice is not your current habits. It requires conscious control of your next level of excellence that you want to automatize, that person, that future self. Habits are your current self. We've got to decipher this. Deliberate practice is designing your future self. That's why we accept and reject from our future self. We take actions like our future self would take actions. And in order to do this, to create a significant jump, a significant quantum leap, you have to be intentional to create your future self. So if your future self would not take this action, you would not take this action. If your future self would take this decision, even if it's out of your comfort zone, especially if it's out of your comfort zone, then that's what you do. So every day, it's either one day I'm going to do this, that's the person who doesn't make decisions, or every day is day one. I am making decisions from my future self. I am taking actions from my future self. I am following the process that is going to create my goal. You get to decide. It's always one day or day one. Make it day one. It'll change your life. Now look at this. Let's go back into programming from yesterday, because you have to create a new program to change your results. If you don't change your paradigm, your results are not going to change. This is where you are on this frequency. Your goal is on a frequency much higher. In front of you is an absolute brick wall, which is your paradigm. You have to knock it down. How do you knock it down? It's not by saying, I'm going to do this one day. You say, every day is day one. I'm making an irrevocable, committed decision, and I see myself living this way. And the minute you make that decision, you mix it with discipline. Now you have a path to get from where you are to where you want to go. And you're going to shift your whole vibration up to the frequency that goal demands. Now, let's take a look at the biggest sabotager of somebody achieving their goal. Now, this is you again. This is an image of you. Within a second, we have thought energy coming in. We have this power coming in that we're going to either accept or reject from our future self. Now, we have the thought, the goal is, I want to turn my annual income into my monthly income. Now, you say, I am obsessed about that. I am committed to doing that. Yet, you're not seeing results over a 6-month period of time. You're not seeing your results getting better. If your results are not getting better over a 6-month period of time, I promise you, you are sending out a double binding message. 6 months is a significant amount of time. Like any client I work with, I'll tell them within 90 days, if you do what I tell you, you will create a massive quantum leap. And the ones that do it over and over again. But understand this, if you're sending out a double binding message, you're still living from the outside. You have not changed your image. You have not changed your programming. And so you have a goal. You say, I'm auto-suggesting my goal. I'm taking action steps, but I'm focused all day long after I do these things of the present results. I'm focused on old problems. And all I'm thinking about is worry, doubt, and fear. I want abundance. I want to turn 100,000 a year to 100,000 a month, but I'm thinking, how am I going to do it? I'm never going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill. And you stop making decisions from your future self. So worry, doubt, and fear is the cause. It creates fear, which is the effect. The fear is the dominant program that is infecting your central nervous system, that controls your vibration. The vibration always dictates what we attract, and you create the same results over and over again. This is the number one cause that we have to get over. Yesterday, I said, we have to get so good at accepting and rejecting ideas. And the deal is we have to hold the image of our goal all day long, no matter what. If you are letting the outside circumstances to control your decisions, control your actions, it's a double binding message, and you're not going to be in harmony. If you're not in harmony on a conscious level, on a subconscious level, and on a physical level, you're not going to see change. Change happens by design. Now, how do you overcome a double binding message? You say, okay, I've been sending out a double binding message, and now I'm going to change this. So I'm going back into the starting point is, do I know what I want? Do I have a goal that inspires me? Yes. Have I made a definite decision? Well, based on results, based on my thinking pattern, I still have not disciplined myself to honor that decision. So you recommit to the decision. You say, I am turning my annual income into my monthly income. And now, once you make that decision, every time the double binding message comes, you say, enough, I do not accept it. All I'm seeing myself in my imagination is where I'm going. I am auto-suggesting every 3 hours my goal until it becomes the dominating idea in my subconscious mind. And through the repetition of getting out of my comfort zone, of thinking in a certain way and acting in a certain way with my action steps, now what happens? The goal is in harmony, and you attract exactly what is in harmony with the new vibration. And you're going to attract the right conditions, the right mentors, the right mastermind groups, the right ideas for the fulfillment of your desire. I will tell you this right now. We want to identify our double binding messages. We have to be aware. Once you're aware, you're going to be able to pick it up. I was working with a client yesterday, and he said, how can I become aware of my double binding messages? I said, I'm going to give you something so simple to do that it's going to be easy to reject. And he said, I'll do whatever you tell me. And I said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to ask your subconscious mind, not really ask it. I said, you've got to tell your subconscious mind, I want to know within a millisecond when a double binding message comes up. And he said, that's it. I said, you've got to understand the rules of your subconscious mind. It cannot reject. It is your silent partner. It has to give you what you give it. So he said, I will do it. I could take you back 17 years ago. That's what I did. And as soon as I had a double binding message, it would come in my awareness. And that's where I started getting really good at accepting and rejecting ideas. The double binding message is your kryptonite. We have got to eliminate this. You've got to think in a certain way if you're going to act in a certain way. Thinking is the prequel to freedom. So eliminate this. Now, what is the opposite of a double binding message? The person has never created their annual income into their monthly income, but they are acting as if they are preparing from their future self. They are thinking from their future self. They are taking actions before they're even ready. They are making definite decisions. They are surrounding themselves with the right mentors. Acting as if is sending a message to the universe that I am ready for the success I know I deserve. Now, you're going to know you deserve it based on how much you bet on yourself. If you're not betting on yourself, you're putting out a weak signal into the universe. Weak signal, weak response. The person who makes decisions that are so far out of their comfort zones, they take actions before they're even ready, before they're confident. That is the person who is emanating, I am ready for the success I know and I deserve. Now, when you act as if with that knowingness, I know that I know that I know, I do not see the results, but I am jumping out of my comfort zone and I'm taking the actions that my future self would take, the universe has to comply and it draws to you. Emerson says it the best. He says, when we make a committed decision, the universe immediately conspires on our behalf to make it a reality. Act as if. This isn't make-believe. You're preparing yourself as the person you're determined to become. Now, understand this. There's going to be a lot of pain in the beginning. Your program is going to fight you like hell. I'm telling you, the program, every time you're going for something bigger, the program tries to bring you down. And the side effect is a lot of discomfort. If you have discomfort, understand you're in the process of a quantum leap if you persist, if you build that grit to be willing to fail in order to win. But you're going to walk into the future self, and your future self is going to give you so much magic. You're going to live so much better than you're living right now. You're going to live so inspired. It's always about the person we want to become. And goal achievement comes down to just doing things 1% better. Let's get 1%. Let's define our 1%. I'm going to take 1% more action from my future self. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone 1% more every day. I'm going to do every action with discipline, 1% greater. Define what your 1% is and do it for 30 days. Then define your next 1%, do it for another 30 days. Now you're building identity-based behaviors that are going to be in harmony with the person you want to become. Now, I told you it's going to take intention and it's going to be really deliberate practice to discipline your thinking. The deal is we have to think like the person we want to become. And we have to take action like that person even before we're ready. I'll say it again, nothing happens without action. You can't just think and sit in your office. You can't think, just sit in your living room. You have to get out and to act. If you look at the last several letters of the word attraction, it's action. You have to get off your butt and go take the action before you're ready. And that's what's going to change. But understand, what is the prequel to action is your thinking. When you stop accepting and rejecting ideas from your future self, it impacts everything. What does it impact? It impacts the type of actions you take. It impacts the results in your life. And it impacts your philosophy and identity. So what action do we want to take? We want to take inspired action. We want to take action with a swagger, with our future self. We want to take action where I'm going all in and I am not attached to the results. I have let go completely, because once I let go, I just go to that higher frequency. When I'm attached, I'm holding on with a lot of fear and I'm going to stay down here. Inspired action is the key. But understand this, action is the fundamental key to all success. It's not about the knowledge and talent. It's about using the knowledge, applying the knowledge, creating that as part of your processes, and that's what unleashes the talent. So here is a process. I told you it's about process. I'm going to give you one on action. You have to develop the ability to take action. So you make a decision, I'm taking action from my future self. The time to act is always when the idea is burning hot inside of you. When you're so ready, you are so sick and tired of being sick and tired, you are ready to make change, and the emotion is strong. And you do it now as a brain tattoo. You do it right away. The moment you wait, the program won. That's why decision-making is the heart of success. Nothing happens until you make a decision. I want you to burn this idea in your mind. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Make that a brain tattoo. And you have to put action into a disciplined activity. Nothing works without discipline. Discipline is the prequel to freedom. I said that yesterday. But everything we do requires mixing it in with discipline. Your standard is not going to be built without discipline. Your goals are not going to be achieved without discipline. And your action is not going to be done if we don't keep stacking every day our 3 to 6 goal achieving action items. You must practice your standard, hold it, mix it with discipline, and you're going to create world-class results. That is a process that if you burn it in your mind and practice it every day, you're going to change the type of actions you take. And by changing the actions you take, once you mix it with discipline, watch how the outside world is going to shape around you. Now, you will see immediate results by acting on your idea. Accept the idea, act on it. Act before you're ready. And the great part is you will implement this strategy for the rest of your life. It'll literally change the rest of your life. And if you were anything like I was 17 years ago, I love this information, but I didn't become it. The game changed when I did that deep internal work. The game changed when I overcame my old self. And the game changed when I took action before I was ready. That's when the game is going to change. Now, take a look at this. I said if you measure yourself by the actions you're taking or you're not taking, you're going to be blown away why you're succeeding or failing. But what actions am I not taking due to discomfort? Right now, I want you to think about that. What actions am I not taking? If you are not taking the action due to discomfort, you're not going anywhere. You are stuck in quicksand. And if you're telling yourself you're doing it, I promise you, the results are not going to change. But this is why we always pivot forward. We pivot forward. We always look forward. We are not allowing the old program to control us any longer. We are not allowing present results to hold us down. This is where I'm going no matter what. Am I going to fail along the way? Am I going to have setbacks along the way? Absolutely. But am I going to have the greatest wins along the way? The wins are going to be so much greater than the failures. And every time you pivot forward, you're reshaping your identity. But remember, discipline is the key to action. Without discipline, there is no action. If time passes between awareness and action, that's because you didn't do it now. That's procrastination. And procrastination is one of those identity-based behaviors that everyone has to keep an eye on. If you are procrastinating, if you're not doing today's work today and saving it for tomorrow, and then you're going to save it again for the next day, you may be working hard. You may be working the hours, but you're not going to see the results change. You've got to do it now. Now, how do we push ourselves to take action when the results are in our face? It's understanding the why behind the what. What is the why? Why I want to achieve my goal. That's the what. The why has to be so much stronger than the why not. So always measure against your why. Keep your reasons in front of you. Write down and put it next to your nightstand when you're going to sleep, a list of the 5 reasons why you want to achieve your goal. The more you remind yourself of the reasons, the more you're going to be willing to do what I'm suggesting. And it's about embracing the discomfort. I have to embrace and make getting out of my comfort zone an identity-based behavior. And growth and comfort do not exist. if I'm comfortable, I'm not going anywhere. I'm telling you this. Now, you may be fine being comfortable. That's your choice. But if you want to unleash your potential and grow, we've got to create getting out of your comfort zone as an identity-based behavior. But the beautiful part is when you take action before you're ready, you make decisions and you bring your results up to the standard of living you want, you will implement this strategy the rest of your life. Literally the rest of your life, you will implement this. Now, I'm going to close with a few slides that are so easy to do, but it's so easy not to do. Number one, we make the goal so big in our mind. That means we create a huge, enormous image of ourselves already achieving the goal. That's number one. Number two, we enter in the spirit of it. We're in love with the goal. When you enter in the spirit, you automatically go to the frequency of what you want because you've accepted the idea. That's what entering the spirit is. You're in this flow state. That's number two. Number three, you practice the power of five. What is the power of five? Every decision you make comes from the person who would have already achieved your goal, your future self. Every single decision. Every discipline comes from the few disciplines that your future self would have. You live your standard from the person who would achieve this goal. And you build a significant self-image. You think, feel, and act like that person. And you have such a great attitude. I'm going to talk about attitude tomorrow. And I've created a process on attitude that I'm going to unleash for you tomorrow that I haven't taught it to anybody. But the power of five is your best accountability partner. And you want to practice this every night before you go to sleep. This is another process for you. Did I make decisions from this person? No, I didn't. Okay, so tomorrow I'm committed to doing it. Did I operate with the disciplines? Well, if I didn't make the decisions, most likely I didn't do the disciplines. Without the decision, nothing changes. And you start measuring all of these at the end of the day. And some days you're going to go 5 for 5. Some days you're going to go 3 for 5. Give yourself grace, not excuses. This process allows you not to drift. And so let's look at 10x goals, why they're so important. Number one, you have 3 types of goals you set. You have an average goal, you've done it already. It doesn't stretch you. You have a good goal, it's 1x, 2x, you've never done it, but you know you can do it with hard work. The types of goals we want you to really achieve in your life is these world-class goals, because it takes you to this world-class energy on much higher frequency. And whatever your desire is up here, it's waiting for you. That's why you got that idea. Yesterday, we talked about the essence of who we are comes from our subconscious mind with our wants, and we accept it. And then your job is to name it and claim it. As you do that, you go to that frequency. Your imagination takes you there. You get in the spirit of it. And understand, it demands a significant stretch. If you're going to get the rewards of the top 1 to 3%, you've got to do what the top 1 to 3% do. And you're going to go after what you love, not what you think you can achieve. And as you do this, everything changes. But understand, we have to detach from our 5 senses. You go to the unknown where freedom is created. You discipline your 5 senses. Now, I'm going to give you a process with this right now. You see what you would see had you already achieved the goal. You hear what you would hear had you achieved the goal. You connect a mood. What would I feel? I'd feel fulfilled. I'd feel emotionally free. And that's how you know you're detached from the 5 senses. Now, this is going to demand you to create from a place of worthiness. Most people create from a place of not having it. I showed you yesterday, the biggest thing, there's 2 things you need to do to make a paradigm shift. Now, you're not going to create and achieve your goals with the same paradigm. You have to know where you are and where you're going. Most people are stuck because they see themselves where they currently are. So they come from the state of not having it. You have to create from a place of worthiness. What creates worthiness? Getting out of your comfort zone, practicing your disciplines, holding your standards. And when you create from a place of worthiness, you get to that state. I already have it. I'm experiencing it in my mind. as my dominant idea, that's the moment the universe will realize you're out of the way. And guess what happens? It draws to you everything you need for the fulfillment of your desire. That's it. Now, I'm going to end with this. Number one, there's 3 main points of goal achievement. You fuse with it, you become one with it. You are one. You're in the spirit of it. You are creating this same frequency where the magic happens. Number 2, you identify what identity-based behaviors my future self would have, and you focus on 4 a year, 1 a quarter. You don't focus on 10. You focus on what is the number 1 identity-based behavior. Maybe it's betting on yourself. Maybe it's doing it now. Maybe it's getting out of your comfort zone. And then number 3, you're process driven. You take 3 to 6 goal achieving action items every day. It may not be 6. There's a lot of days I do 4. I'll do 3. But you do it with that swagger. You do it from the confidence of your future self. You act as if, and then you're going to achieve it. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Monica DeMarin. Mon, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks so much, Arash. My goodness, I am definitely vibrating very high. That was amazing. Day 2 is where the real work begins to get a lot deeper. Success always comes in many different ways. Arash went through goals and standards today, and goals are for us to create something to go deep within us. And you get to design whatever you want. That's the great thing. You get to design your new standard, your goals, 10xing and stretching yourself. I absolutely love how Arash was talking about thinking today, and thinking is so important. And I love how he says, you can't want 10 plus results, but have your thinking at a 5. It would be so hard to achieve. You're going to go into forcing and chasing your goals. When your thinking matches what you want, then that's when the magic really starts to happen. That's where the fun begins. So think about yourself right now. And has your thinking been at a 10, or has it been at a 5 or a 2? Be really truthful. I was speaking to someone this morning, and he had a great goal. He knew exactly what he wanted. That was not the problem. He knew exactly what he wanted, but his language was at a 2, at a 4. He came from a poverty consciousness, but he wanted all of these things. So we want to make sure our language changes internally. Reshape the words that you're using with yourself. So the change always starts with our language. The most important conversations that you're going to have is the ones that you have with yourself. So speak really great with yourself, use powerful emotional words and only speak from your goal. So take care of your self-talk. You want to make sure it's impeccable. And speak the language as your future self. It's always listening. So you want to consciously create those languages. And I always encourage people, maybe write down some of that language you would be speaking to yourself. Make some really powerful statements that you're going to be able to embody and see around you. Okay. So I want to talk about when Arash was talking about work. Okay. And I picked this up because I want everyone to treat your work as a calling, as a purpose, not as a job. Okay, this is the work that we get to do. One of the most positive transitions that you can make is not viewing your work as a job. View it as a calling, as a purpose. The energy is going to change around that. You're going to get into the spirit of what you're doing. So when you're working from a job perspective, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a stay-at-home parent or you're an owner of a company, that is the work that you get to do. So through a job perspective, you're going to feel like it's an exchange of bare minimum energy, bare minimum of passion. You're going to be doing like task feeling rather than from a calling, a purpose. This is high energy that emerges deep within you. It sparks something within you. It lights you up. That's the work that you get to find. And no matter what position you're in, where you're at right now, you get to find that opportunity. Okay. So if you're wondering what your purpose is right now, some people don't know what it is. Your purpose right now, just simply because you're alive, you have a calling, you have a purpose. Your job is to discover that and be here this week with us, doing the exercises. You're going to get more clear. Okay, you're either going to expand your current goal or you're going to tap into something that you didn't even know you had inside of you, which is really fun. So for today's homework, we're going to ask you to get really clear on what you want. Okay, there's another version inside of you that is dying to come out. So for the first step today, we want you to write your goal in the present tense. Okay, the reason why we want you to write it in the present tense is because it trains your subconscious mind to assume your success. It assumes it's already done. Your subconscious mind only understands the now. So using present tense words, you're in the now. It's a done deal. So your goal demands you to grow, as Arash said today, and it introduces you to a part of you that you didn't even know you had inside of you. So you want to make sure when you're writing out your goal, it is in the present tense. It's already a done deal. And you want to make it powerful. Work with a limitless attitude. I love adding this on. Stretch goals, you need to work with a limitless attitude. So what is it that you really want? Okay, the power lies in our clarity, and be really enthusiastic when you're doing this exercise. Put some life, put some energy into the life that you want to live. The second step is write out your why. Okay, your why is your leverage. Your why is going to connect to you and your goal on a deeper level, and make it authentically you. Like, why do you really want it? Okay, that's yours. And your why, like Arash said, put it by your bed, read it before, it's going to help you get through adversity, because when you're going after something bigger than you're going to hit challenges. You will hit adversity. Your why will get you through it. Your why will push you past those times when it gets really hard. And the third part is write a list of benefits and reasons why you want to achieve this goal. So writing out the benefits, I was thinking about this, it's going to help you beat procrastination. Same with your why. Okay, when you know the reason why you wanted, the benefits of achieving your goal, it's going to help you beat procrastination. And Arash just went through procrastination. I actually heard something a few weeks ago. It said procrastination can feel really, really fun. It's like a credit card until you get the bill. And I thought that's so true, because that bill is very expensive. It's wasted time. It's wasted energy. Procrastination can be fun because you might be distracted by social media, making plans, not doing what you need to do. So in the moment, it might feel fun, but it gets very expensive. So we want to beat that with having our why, having the benefits, and move through the things that we resist to do, because on the other side of that is how you reclaim your forgotten power. So for today, it comes down to decide what you want and why you want it and the benefits. Okay, so I'll hand it back to Mykie if you want to add anything onto this before we close out.
Monica, thank you so much. And thank you, Arash, for an incredible lesson. What I want to encourage everybody to do right now is, I told you to block off 90 minutes for today, and you still have 14 minutes left. Get into the homework assignment right now. Don't put it off. Don't go do anything else. Don't just jump into your day. Take a moment, look over your notes, do the homework assignment that Monica just said, because the magic is in the action. If you're not going to apply the things that you're learning this week, then nothing is going to change for you. And we really want you to create that massive breakthrough. So a couple of housekeeping items in case you missed it at the beginning, because I just saw a comment asking if there's going to be a replay. Yes, there is a replay from this entire week. The replays are actually available on the same page that you're watching this on, and you'll receive 2 emails today. One will be from Zoom, letting you know the replay is available since you registered through Zoom. The other will be from Voss Coaching Co. Ours will have a brief recap, some of the notes that we took throughout the lesson that we want to supply you with. So look out for those 2 emails. I said yesterday that the one from Zoom was going to come in about 10 or 15 minutes, and I noticed that it was actually right about an hour. So it's a little longer than I thought it was going to be for the replay to process. You will be receiving a replay. You'll have access to those replays until next Friday. So you've got plenty of time. And what I want to encourage you to do is, don't just go back and watch the replay if you missed a lesson. Go back and watch the replay, even if you were here for all of it, because there's going to be things that you missed. There's going to be times when your mind went off on a thought trail, and you might have missed something that Arash was teaching or that Monica was going over in her recap. And those are valuable things that you can uncover through watching the replay. In our elite programs, Arash encourages all of our clients to watch the replay at least 4 times. And there is a science behind that. So I'm going to encourage you all to do the same exact thing. And I am so excited to see you all here tomorrow, same place, same time, 12 o'clock Eastern on Zoom for an incredible lesson. Wednesday is a lesson you are not going to want to miss. So I hope that we'll see you live if you can make it. Otherwise, same as the entire week, there will be a replay available. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you live tomorrow.